Good evening and welcome to another episode of Nightfall in Amsterdam. Today is November the 15th, 2019, and we have yet again another social between Alvaro and Ekta. We are setting the scene with Alvaro going to visit Ekta at work and bringing her lunch. We will walk around and try to find her.
She is going to be in her office filling out paperwork. All the fun paperwork.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it like a cubicle thing or is it like an office?
it's an office.
Okay. You will knock on it.
Yeah, any of the nursing staff would be able to kind of at least point you in the right direction.
Knock on the door and like poke his head in.
Oh, hi. I wasn't expecting to see you here, Alvaro.
Oh, I figured I'd come say hi, bring some lunch. It's a bag and a drink.
Oh, well, that's awfully kind of you. I mean, we can... Let me clear off my desk, or we can go into the lunchroom, although this is probably a bit more private.
Here is fine. So
Okay.
He'll come in, close the door behind him.
So she's just, neatly stacking the papers off to the side. There's manila folders and computer. She's going to basically turn off the monitor.
What kind of computer? Are we talking good one or like one with a big box that counts as a monitor now?
Well, it's not a laptop. It's it's got one of the flat screens to it. It's got like a flat screen monitor.
Gotcha.
A tower. Yeah, if you're familiar at all, she's running Epic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it just the one chair behind the desk, I assume?
No, there's one right across the there's one over by the wall opposite of her desk.
Gotcha. He'll pick it up, move it to the desk, and sit the bag down in front of her. I didn't know what to get you, so I got you salad, desserts, and white tea. Says he sets it down.
That is very kind of you. I'm usually the one feeding people.
Well, today you get fed.
Well, I appreciate it.
No problem.
You've caught me about halfway through a 24-hour shift, so anything is very much appreciated. How
long of a lunch do you get?
Whenever I can grab it. I'm making time for this. Oh.
You sure it's not taking up time?
No. The paperwork here is not an emergency. And if there is if I have another, then an RN can declare it and at least document the time so that I can get the rest of the paperwork filed.
Okay.
And call the funeral homes.
Ugh.
What?
It would be a lot of stress. I still understand your viewpoint on it. It's just, I imagine having to call this and that, being pulled in several directions. Has to be a lot of stress with that. Even if the passing part doesn't bother you.
It's worth it.
Good. It's good you got something fulfilling.
So, I have to ask.
Okay.
You have ties with the dead.
Looking around. Yes.
Are you free to discuss them?
Are there cameras here or any such thing?
No.
I can discuss. Well, ask and I can try to answer things. What are you looking for?
I'm curious about your ties with them. You know mine.
Okay. Well, I see them, hear them from time to time. Um, they have a tendency to come to me for things they want or need. As I said before, how they act. Some they act like people. Their views on things are usually skewed to how they believe they are, rather than how they actually are. I help them if I can, if I'm able, depending.
You have a kind heart.
It eh, it varies from day to day. They hound. They're like needy children sometimes, depending on where I am. But I have helped a few. Uh, no cameras, right? You said.
No cameras.
Okay. I've talked to ones that have been murdered, and I've helped deal with those situations.
Those are bad deaths.
But as far as my dealings, there's not much more to it. What I told you, they're, as I said, they vary as people do, but they have more anger to them sometimes.
I would expect anger. I would expect sorrow. I would expect just as much remorse as some of the families that I see around here.
As you can imagine, many of them, it was a great shock.
Yes. Some of them might not even know that they are. Depending.
Yeah. But yeah, that is as I said, when I can find a good location, I will take you to one.
I would like that. There's a lot that I have yet to learn.
Now, when you do meet one, what is your intention? What do you want to do?
I want to get to know them. What would be my intention of walking into any of these rooms in here? Assess the situation and try to understand.
Okay. They will likely want something if they know you can see them or interact in any way. They'll. But we can we can do that.
If their Atman is still flitting around here, it's not able to move into the next life. I want to see if I can help that.
Okay. Well, that is more or less what I try to do when I do help them. So good.
So why the surprise lunch?
I had fun. You're fun to be around. Figured you'd be hungry, and I knew you were working 24 hours. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 2 days off.
so one day of sleep and then one day of something else.
Yes. Yes. And then comes the wonderful on call.
Now, is that different from normal hospital? Is I assume it wouldn't be. I guess it would be as urgent.
Well, whenever someone is in pain, to the extent that as the body shuts down, they can be. It's not an emergency in the way that one would think an emergency. Like there's nothing that I can do to stop this. And even if I could, once the body breaks to the point that we're at this stage, anything I do would be torture. Anything other than to try and alleviate the pain and alleviate the symptoms. My goal out of all of this is to make it as painless as possible. So it's not an emergency in the way that most people would think an emergency. And once they've left their body, death isn't an emergency. It's not like they're going to get up and walk.
Right.
There's nothing more I can do for them except file the paperwork and call the funeral home. That's all I can do. You know, we try to make sure that the families get as much time as they can with the body of their loved one. There are some, not many, but some who prefer to do post-mortem themselves. And they find it healing. It's kind of the last intimate act that they can have with their mother, with their father, with a brother or a sister, to wash the body and get it prepared to go to the funeral home. There's healing in it for those that want it.
He nods. That's my train of thought.
I'm sorry, Heather didn't understand that.
No, sorry. I lost my train of thought. It was in relation to that. But was. How? Oh, yes. Do most of them have family to come visit them? I would hope.
A good many of them. Sometimes all of their family has passed on before them, and all I'm doing is reuniting them.
That is a very good way to look at it.
It's about the only way you can look at it and remain sane.
How many?
So what about you?
Go
What
ahead.
draws you to work with the spirits of the dead? Or
No
is
one
it
else?
something that they chose you, not the other way around?
A bit of both. Not many do. Not many do, and they're drawn to me anyway.
Why you?
I guess it just runs in the family. Because I can see and hear them, and they get wind of it.
Will you tell me of your family, or is that too painful?
I can tell you some. My father was never really around. He was always moving, like I do. My mother was she worked in a clothing store. And she did what she could, Satua is lovely. But it has the same issues with clashing cultures as any place that close to, well, Catholic, Islam influence, both right there. Um,
Any brothers and sisters?
no, just me. But we spoke of the first points to teeth I encountered. One of them was a friend of the family. We didn't know. He ended up raping and killing my mother.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I found him. Took a little time, but that's when I spoke of how there wasn't much pity involved with them, and they seem to embrace the state they've gone to completely. But that is I fairly certain she found peace after.
I'm glad.
Hmm.
I know of nothing. Now, granted, I'm no obstetrician, but I know of nothing that would rip a mother in two. So I'm a little bit confused.
Hmm? Oh no, he didn't. He raped her. He didn't rape her.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, not
Yeah.
rip her in two.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Was it? Am I confusing myself?
I never knew mine.
No?
I never knew mine.
Orphan?
Yeah. No brothers, no sisters.
He frowns. Well, always start your own family and work from the ground up. Have a mess of kids, grandkids, great grandkids. But you probably should start soon.
I probably should. I don't know of anyone who would be okay with my work schedule.
You keep saying that, but it's not as bad as it looks.
It's not as bad as it looks.
No, it's for not well for you. It's horrible, but for family life, it can be worked with. You just have to work around things.
It's got to be a partnership.
Right. Just has to be. You have to know full well going in what you're getting into.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right.
No,
You
I
can have a.
I do want children. I mean, sometimes it's hard to come home to an empty room. I mean, I have a Kalis, but it's not the same. I mean, don't get me wrong, I try to take care of everybody.
You have to make sure you take care of you too.
Perhaps.
Or else you're going to wind up, your life's going to go by, you're going to be in one of these beds, some nurse is going to be looking at you.
And there will be no one there for me. I know. No one deserves to pass alone.
It does happen.
I see the best. I see the best and the worst of people out of this.
I can imagine. Greedy families, wills.
Oh, the wills don't bother me. Living wills, I won't say they bother me. It's more of a bother whenever next of kin is out of state. Nobody knows what the patient's wishes are. They're unable to tell you. And the next of kin is just across the country, and you're trying to sit there and tell them what's going on, and they're not even, they may or may not even be in the country. And they're riddled with guilt because they can't come and see them. And so they want them to hold on. And the body's not wanting to hold on.
No, it's done when it's done.
So it feels almost like I torture some people.
I mean, I can imagine these people don't come in here for a long hotel stay. They're thinking it's going to be a week or so, and then they're done.
Sometimes you end up getting someone who's upset because a lot of the times you'll give them their pain medication, and as soon as the pain leaves, they do.
Yeah.
And you triple check your math, and your math is fine.
Just the body was ready.
It's just, they relax, and then they relax into the next life. Or in the state of limbo.
I could think of worse ways to go.
I can too. But I also see someone holding a cooling hand as the torso is just sweating.
Oof.
And I see family members leave to go get a cup of coffee. I see them, stroke a head while they're agitated to try and get them to settle down. I see the best in people here, even as I see the worst. There's no middle ground, and there's no right way and there's no wrong way to grieve. There isn't.
And none of the death part doesn't bother you at all. It's just...
It's as natural as birth. It's a process. The same as measuring how dilated someone is, to know whether or not they should start pushing. And it's always darkest just before the light. And the soul just gets reborn. No, the death doesn't bother me.
So what part of the job does?
Whenever I can't control the pain, whenever I don't know what this person's wishes are, and I'm dealing with an irate family member who doesn't want to let them go, and I'm trying to figure out how to force a body that is breaking down to hold on another week or another day, and it just doesn't want to happen. I
What
don't,
do
I
you
don't
do
know
when you
what
have
to
the
do
tough
with it.
days?
It's almost like you bite off more than you can chew in those cases.
People can be self-centered most of the time.
Very much so.
So when you have these rough days, what do you do? What do you go home and do?
I go home and I study.
That
You
relaxes you?
certainly.
That relaxes you?
It does. I like being prepared.
Hmm.
I fear that I'm a bit boring. I'm a workaholic.
No. He waves that off. No. You handle things in your own way. This is good. I don't
So you
think
must
I've
have
met.
bad
Hmm?
days. You must have bad days.
What? Sure. Everyone does.
How do you handle yours?
Smoke.
Smoke.
Smoke. And play my saxophone. Occasionally drink, but I'm not as much with the. I know what kind of road that goes to. Smoking is better.
Alcoholism runs in your family then?
No, just I've seen too many stories of old blues or jazz players drinking themselves to death. I'm not. That part's not for me.
Yes. That part would not be, yeah, no.
I do drink, just not to handle my stress. There are other ways to do it. There's other things. I just, there's stuff you don't want to know. Just be better.
I must admit, and I won't pry, but
Hmm.
whenever you say there's stuff I don't really want to know, you only serve to pique curiosity.
Well, I can. Okay, fine. How do I? Well, I assume your religion is more strict with sex than marriage and whatnot.
Um, it's frowned upon, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm not ignorant of it, if that's what you're asking.
No, no. Just I didn't want to. Some, I've met Catholics and all about abstinence until marriage. I do not have such scruples, and it helps me get through the day when it is what it is.
It is what it is, yes.
So,
And it's a very basic need. Dopamine is not a bad thing. And oxytocin.
he looks at you like he has no idea what you're talking about, but he assumes you know what you're talking about.
The feel good chemicals.
Ah,
The feeling of just relaxed, and the reward center of your brain just goes crazy. And you have bonding hormones that connect you with this other person, with this other being.
so you say it's frowned upon, but it sounds like you know more about it than you're letting on.
I know the biology behind it.
That is all. I mean, since we're sharing,
I, in my younger days, I experimented a little.
in college, I hear most people do that in college.
Mine was a bit younger than that.
Ah,
Not by much. I mean, it's not like anybody harmed me or anything. Um, I was bounced around from place to place to place. And in high school, I did look for love. I won't say in all the wrong places, but I just wanted to feel bonded to someone. Nothing ever really worked out because as soon as I would find someone and potentially, think that I was in love, I'd get yanked up and moved off. So there was nothing stable enough for me to, have anything other than a string of just broken relationships.
how many? You know,
How many relationships or how many partners?
either or both.
8 relationships, 5 partners.
Nothing worked.
Nothing worked because I just kept getting yanked up from one place to another.
That's a shame.
It's really hard to have a relationship whenever um whenever the next thing you know, your bags are packed and you're being told, you're going for a ride.
When
And
were
you
you
learn really quick what that means.
when were you able to be on your own?
I was 18 and that's whenever I moved to the States to go to college. And then once I went to college, I settled down. I had my studies. I I worked hard. Student
And
loan debt is a thing.
I remember we talked about it. And nothing since. No relationships, no partners, just work, study.
Just work.
No, we have to fix that. We have to go get food more or something. That
I
is
would
it.
like that. I would like that a lot.
I mean, as interesting as all of that is. There's still more to do. We still have trips to take.
Yes.
I've been thinking about instead of Norway. Have you been to Germany?
No. I basically just got here a few months ago.
We could do Germany then. It's we need a plane or boat to go to Oslo. I figured we'd go Germany, take the bus, take a train. I haven't been on a train in a while. They're nice.
That sounds amazing.
Good food. You don't have to drink. We can. I'm sure they have some kind of fancy soda or something. Hell, I think we could even go to Italy if we really want to get an actual Italian soda from there. That's probably a gimmick.
That sounds wonderful. I I really do need to get out a bit more. If I spend too much more time
Look, I know it.
here, I'm going to spend all my time around death and forget that there's actually a life outside of it.
I mean, I know these papers are really interesting, but I promise the Eiffel Tower is much more interesting at nighttime.
I've
And I'm
seen pictures.
Hmm.
I've seen
There's
pictures.
there's a smell in the air when one of the bakeries is open near it.
Oh, I bet there is. You know, one of these days I'm going to have to cook for you. You were
I
so
would
kind
like
to
that.
bring me lunch.
Would like that. I like all food for the most part.
How's your spice tolerance?
That's like hot,
Yes.
fairly high. We have in Satua we have fairly they used to give us this red uh, chili paste. It's good. I assume you like spicy?
I was raised on spice.
Good. I'll be happy to try.
I'm notorious for curry for breakfast. And I can make some amazing chutney.
I've not had, but I will certainly try it.
Um, I heard from Tumo that there was a group of people who lost their home and that their sleepers were without shelter, that they lost everything. So I made this big batch of, you know, one of my favorite dishes from back home. And after I gave it to him, I was a little bit worried that it would be a little bit too spicy. But whenever you don't know what to cook for someone, you end up going with whatever comfort food you have.
Tumo?
Yes.
I do not think I am familiar.
He's a fisherman.
I'll have to. The name sounds familiar. I just can't place the face. I don't think I've met. I think I've just spoken to him once or twice.
Yeah. He said that he was bringing lots of fish. And so I made a big batch of a side dish, which I really hope.
Well,
I
if
really
you
hope
want,
it was received.
I can try to look into that for you. See if I can track them down and see how they liked it. And I can let you know.
I would appreciate it. I worry about people. Maybe a little bit too much.
Well, I mean, you have a job that directly entails that. You're helping them make their passing easy, and pain management is something you have to worry about constantly, so it makes sense.
Sometimes I really
Hmm?
Sometimes I really wish that there was more that I could do. Because it's not just the pain of the patient, it's the pain of the family.
Well, a lot of that is natural, I would think.
Yes,
But I'm glad there's not much more you can do because I think it would consume you.
you're probably right. As a matter of fact, you're not probably right. I am pretty sure you are right.
But I think you do plenty. And now you want to go bug random knights that should be gone by now. Temples and whatnot.
I really do need to get out and see more of the city.
Well, we can do another trip soon. Maybe when you have your next day off, we can do that. We can try to explore the wonders of protesting outside of the church. And
Yes. Although it's not really protesting.
well, no. If it is, it's the most interesting form I would have seen. Besides somebody setting themselves on fire in the middle of the street.
That has been known to happen.
Buddhist monk, I think, from Vietnam. Yeah. Saw the footage
Yes.
on YouTube.
Yes. Oh.
It did not stop the war, so that was pretty in vain.
It may not have stopped the war, but it was a stand.
Yeah. I mean, nobody rotated him. If they could have had... Anyway, dark humor.
My friend, gallows humor is healing. It is the sound of resilience.
Well, I've never had Buddhist monk, but it couldn't have been any worse than any of the bugs those people were eating. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you know, there is a faith where the best death that they could have is to starve themselves. And they choose this.
Do they like suffering and migraines?
They're a very ascetic group of people. They're the Jains. They're the people who, I don't know if you've ever seen them do this, seen someone do this, but they will sweep the floor in front of them so that they don't step on any bugs. They take the concept of nonviolence to that extreme.
I've heard of the idea of that, but I've never heard that the name they were given. Well, I mean, I guess more power to them. It's what they...
Yes, it's not for everyone.
No, I like eating too much. That's pretty much my worst nightmare.
Well, they choose this. It's not, again, it's not forced on them. They're not doing any of this, because somebody chose it for them. They're ready to go.
Do you read trashy romance novels?
I have in the past.
It's just a thought came to mind. I can just see you there.
I have to ask, what was the jump in thought that...
Well, look, I was thinking about, like, okay, well, between your studies, you have to read something else. Like, people get bored, you're reading a book, then you decide, okay, you need a quick break. And I was thinking, okay, well, what would you go to?
What would I go to?
Mm-hmm. That was my call for it.
Typically speaking, I would get up, go to the kitchen, grab a cup of Sanka, and stare off into space for a while, just to give my eyes and my brain a break.
See, I do that, but I do that with no Senka and a cigarette. And I don't study. So when do I do that? When I'm bored. Yeah. Mm. And you don't smoke or anything? No vices? Just.
Oh, I have vices. I do have vices.
Looks at her curiously.
Envy, maybe.
Ah.
Pride.
Well, again, makes sense given the job. Envy of time.
Do I have time?
Do you envy of time or more of a family thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. On that part, the only person holding you up there is you.
I have colleagues who their spouses joked that they were medical school widows and widowers. The ones that I've kept in touch with, the majority of them ended up divorced because they couldn't take the hours.
No. I mean, all joking aside, as I said, it can be worked with, but I can see where it would be taxing on a family or a spouse.
Yeah. And there's another side to it. If I were to let my guard down and to love someone, my judgment towards them would be clouded.
Why is that?
Because of the nature of who I am, I'm constantly assessing Sherlock Holmes. You write everything down,
Hmm.
I file it away. I see the
So,
tapestry of fate. And if I see a loose thread and that loose thread is close to me, I don't want to know what it would do to have that thread cut.
so are you worried about seeing things you shouldn't? Or would you be too curious not to look? Or
I'd be too curious not to look. You and I are linked, Alvaro.
Hmm?
I don't know how, but we're tied together.
So you checked.
I do check.
Anything good?
As I said, I don't know how we're fated to be together, but we're significant to one another.
Hmm.
In what way? I don't know. How? I don't know.
And what do you think about that?
I'm okay with it. I don't know whether or not it's that, we'll stand side by side in battle. I don't know if it's that we'll topple something that needs to be toppled.
Miranda's addiction problem is the Stockholm syndrome.
That, if we were to do that, she would just return.
I
If,
would,
if
yes, I believe
if
so.
she's not ready to leave, we would, as soon as we released her, she would return back to where she went.
Probably. I'm fairly certain, right? No, she will have to. I don't even know how involved I want to get with her thing, but we can get back to that. But what you're saying now. So we're linked, and you're fine with it.
I'm fine with it.
Good.
I mean, if this is both of our fate, then this is both of our fate. All I know is that you're significant to me and I'm significant to you. How, I don't know.
Well, I mean, we get along. We like food. We're both interested in dead people in one way or the other. You want to travel? I always travel. It works.
It works. I still don't know what to do about Miranda, though.
I don't. Well, I have an idea.
I'm open to hearing it.
It'd be a lot of work on your part since I don't have any connections in those circles. Um, you said you have a situation with these Templars, yes?
I'm sorry, with the what?
With the Templars?
Yes.
Use it. The enemy of my enemy. You find a way to get them to get Miranda. Hopefully, Mr. Old comes for her. They wipe each other out.
Interesting. First, I have to actually lure the Templar out.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm planning on doing. Mostly it was to try and get him to see reason. I don't even know what this thing is.
The
I
Mr.
have
Old?
suspicions.
Oh, you mean the Templar?
Oh no, not the Templar.
Oh,
I don't know
Mr.
of anything that can Stockholm somebody that fast.
I'm at a loss, but it could also be it could be numerous things. But that my suggestion, like I said, it would be a lot of work. Is one, why would I mean, who would you have help? Why would they help? Why would they want to open up that front?
Well,
So
if
just
I can actually show somehow that what is holding Miranda is intrinsically evil, it might work, but it could also backfire and backfire big time.
See,
I'm talking Inquisition level backfire.
so I said it's a touchy situation because you don't know enough about her beau's side of the situation, and have names and as far well titles, I guess, and
What on earth runs around calling itself a baron?
old things, very old beach.
Well, there is only one thing that I have heard rumors of that is old enough to have checked itself off the wheel.
Which is
Vampires.
oh well, yeah, she did say. I'm pretty sure that came up in conversation with her the other night. She
800 years.
since it taken anyone to his bed, I believe she said, or something along the lines.
Which means that it's older than that.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is calcified.
Gross. But it's an idea. I would think it would be the less messy way, at least on your group's behalf, if they all decide to get involved to deal with it, deal with one problem, deal with another.
Very true. I just don't want to see another Inquisition, because as soon as they're done taking care of the vampires, what is to stop them from looking at every single one of us and going, "You're heretics," and then burning us at the stake?
Well, didn't they say when they were at that meeting or something that you were all heretics and none of you were allowed into the church?
Yes. So it may only stoke that fire.
Well, my hope would be that they take enough of themselves out during the fighting that you can pick off what's left.
I'm hoping for a bit more of a diplomatic answer.
I feel like that's even more dangerous. Or not more dangerous, challenging,
Yes, it is challenging.
considering how old the thing is. Do you have to be involved with her?
I don't have to be involved with her. I
Do you
mean,
want to?
she seems like a nice enough person, but she's not exactly stable.
I noticed that. There was a lot of just a lot of yes. But yeah, think on that one option. But yeah, I mean, diplomatic might not be a bad thing, but I I don't know if he'd want what he'd want in return.
I have no earthly clue. Again, the only time I've ever seen this man is whenever he barged into a meeting and broke one of his own nose.
Oh, we're talking about. Okay.
That was, yeah. So I don't know what he would want. I have no clue.
Do you remember what he said exactly?
Word for word, no. He just said that the friar had essentially desecrated his church, and that, by allowing other sects to come in and practice, and that he stripped him of his position, he stripped him of his holdings. He said he had a note of censure from the Pope. He defrocked him, and then he broke his nose. And then said if any of us stepped foot onto any of his churches, that our lives were forfeit. So the Templar is a little bit unhinged.
I got that.
I don't know what caused him to get to this point, other than, they found out that he had invited others of my kind to the church. I don't know.
But like we said before, it could have been anything. The wind could have blown the wrong way and snapped him.
Yes, and sometimes we are prone to pride of an ungodly degree.
Yes. Well, like I said, when you go to do your meditation, I will watch, and we'll see how he reacts. Now, when he talks to you, is that when you're planning to try to talk him out of whatever he's doing?
That's whenever I'm going to try and figure out what it is that he wants. I mean, understand his Jesus is one of our sons.
Oh?
No, Jesus is not one of our gurus. Okay? He isn't. But he taught the basic principles of God to those who would listen to him. Much in the same way as Muhammad is one of our sons. Buddha also. There is only one God. The paths to get to him are many.
Well, I would not tell him that.
I have no intention of. But if I can just get him meditating on the name of God, then he will have the experience. And if he chooses to discuss other matters, I am open to it. I just want to know where he's coming from.
About the child and the.
I want to know where this Templar is coming from.
Have you talked to anyone else about it yet?
Not yet. I will. And whenever the time gets closer. I'm trying to give him some time to calm down.
Well, as I said, just let me know when you go, and I will go with you and watch and see.
As I've said, I appreciate it.
See, is there anything else? I feel like there was something else, but I can't remember what it is. But we can do that next time we go on a walk
Yeah.
about the city.
Yeah.
And does she appear to have eaten anything at all?
Yes.
Okay. So
She has been wolfing down this whole the
All right. Well.
And the phone rings. And she's gonna pick it up. Sedana. Oh. Can you not get Jessica to go ahead and call it? Just get her to document the time down. Oh. Look, all she's got to do is just declare it, write down the time, the time of death, and I'll file. Do they want me to go ahead and make first call? Okay. Okay, well. All right. I'll meet with the family. Yeah, I'll meet with the family. Just go ahead, document the time, and I'll file the paperwork. We'll go ahead and we'll get the postmortem done. All right. Thank you. She hangs up.
Back to work.
Back to work. Second one today.
Oof.
Well,
good luck with the family.
They usually happen in threes. I cannot thank you enough for lunch. I will have to return the favor.
Well, the food you mentioned is sun.
I will have to have you over then.
Good. He will take her hand and kiss the back of it, and then attempt to leave.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This is another episode of Nightfall on Amsterdam. Have a good evening.